Star Wars, nothing but Star Wars. Give me the Star Wars, don't let them end.
Bienvenidos, worldwide fans of the planet's hottest entertainment with an edge. I am Jaime En Fuego, and welcome to Enfuegotainment. That is right, peeps. And yes, I am launching this first installment of coverage that is going to span the entire year of 19. I am going to be going through all of the Star Wars films and reviewing them. We're talking 1, 2, 3, the prequel trilogy. We are talking 4, 5, and 6, the best installments in the entire franchise. I'm even going to do some spin-off films like Rogue One and Solo, and maybe even some Ewok stuff. Who knows, a Clone Wars film. But on the 24th of every month, leading up to the December release of Episode 9, yes, I am going to be just revisiting this franchise that I fell so in love with as a kid. And then in the 90s, when we were getting all these video games like X-Wing and TIE Fighter, and you know, I know there was Rebel Assault and Rogue Squadron, and there was Dark Forces, which was badass, and then there were Shadows of the Empire. There were all those EU books that are now apparently legends and not even canonical. So I was crazy into Star Wars, seeing the special editions in theaters and everything, and then the prequels came, and I was really excited and in turn really disappointed. And you know, I guess The Force Awakens and Rogue One got me super hyped, and then Rian Johnson's The Last Jedi, not so much. Solo, just okay. That's one that I'm actually really curious to revisit because I didn't have as many personal problems with it tone-wise as I did with, it felt more like a Star Wars movie than The Last Jedi, let's just put it that way. But all of those are discussions for another day because we are talking about release on May 19th. Yes, that is right. Episode 1, The Phantom Menace, May 19th of 1999 to be specific. So, yeah, there were a lot of people that had issues with the added digital that was put in for the re-release of the special editions and stuff, which I personally love the special editions with the exception of some musical changes in Return of the Jedi. But otherwise, I felt like, you know, the addition of the Jabba scene was cool, and the Sarlacc pit and all that other stuff in Jedi. There's not as much that I saw as evidently, except for just little, you know, like tinkering and just enhancements here and there in Empire. But so, long story short, I was really riding that hype train for Star Wars, nothing but Star Wars, yes. And then Phantom Menace, for me, was a big letdown, but as years have gone on and I've tried to attain proper perspective about this film, I've grown to respect it and just appreciate a lot of aspects of it that, boy, as a 16-year-old at the time, I was just, or no, 15, yeah, that's right, that's 16 later in the year. But yeah, as somebody who had just entered high school, I had some real issues with the Phantom Menace. But here on Enfuegotainment, I always cover the Bueno, the Malo, and the Feo, and then I give a grade. This is a new thing that I'm going to be doing in the year of 19. I'm going to give a grade from Feo to Enfuego, so Feo, we are going to have Malo, we are going to have Bueno, we are going to have Fuego, and then we're going to have Enfuego, so 1 through 5 fireballs, essentially. So, but if we're going to talk about good things, Bueno things about this movie, it definitely is a visual feast for the most part. I mean, it's really cool where we go to Jar Jar's underwater, like Kingdom Place, and some of the space battles are pretty badass looking. The pod race is an especially enthralling and just cool looking scene. I really dig that, especially even with rewatching here, I thought it was great. I like the costuming and the makeup, especially for Amidala. You know, Padme, every different outfit iteration that they give her, you know, whether it's the makeup work, whether it's the hair, everything is really grandiose and awesome looking, in my opinion. Performances are also, I even think that Jake Lloyd and Natalie Portman are not as bad as a lot of people make them out to be in this, especially after having just rewatched this evening. I don't think it's as terrible acting-wise from those two as a lot of people have slammed them for over the years. And I really like Liam Neeson as Qui-Gon. I really enjoy, even though he doesn't get as much screen time as I would like him to have, I love Ewan McGregor. I'll watch dude in just about anything. Mace Windu, Mr. Bad Motherfucker himself, Samuel L. Jackson. Similar to McGregor, he does not really get a lot of screen time, but he's good and stoic and stuff when he's on there. I prefer the puppetry of Yoda compared to the 3D version that they put in for the Blu-ray and for the 3D re-release and stuff. So there is a lot of visual merit, and there is a lot of, and I mean, the lightsaber battles are really badass, especially the one at the very end. I mean, that's really the one. There's a couple like little skirmishy things with robots and stuff here and there. But yeah, where we hear Duel of the Fates, which is another thing I can say, the score that John Williams did is really, really good for this film. Yeah, the score, especially for the fight between Darth Maul and between, you know, our two Jedis, is really, it just sets the tone, even if the rest of the battle, I mean, it's very much borrowing from Jedi in the fact that, you know, you've got the space battle going on, you've got the big ground battle going on, and then you have, the lightsaber duel that's going. And so I love the look of Darth Maul. I was really disappointed and felt that he was given a disservice by being done off in the fashion in which he did, even if they did bring him back for Clone Wars and he's got like spider legs or whatever the hell it is. Nonetheless, when we do get screen time for him, Ray Park or something like that, he was also in the first X-Men movie. He's done tons of stuff, and the fights are cool. His performance even gets to talk a little bit, he's just kind of properly just kind of scary, almost, yeah. And I dig that we see Palpatine in his initial stages of pulling the strings, and the fact that we get the same actor who played the Emperor in Return of the Jedi, and in just that one scene or so in Empire. I don't know, I feel like for the most part, with the exception of Jar Jar, which I'll get to in the Feo, they're, at the end of the day, as far as Star Wars world building and mythology goes, I will say that I feel like there's more bueno, there's more good in this film than there is bad. Once again, my personal opinion, okay? So now we can launch into the bad, which is what I'm sure everybody wants to hear me talk about, the malo and the feo, the bad and the ugly in this film. The bad is definitely the fact that the script is really pretty boring. Yeah, it's genuinely boring, and you have so much added political intrigue when, with trade federations and, blockades and all of that. I mean, there is so much injected into this where it's just, it's not that it would be really boring for children, I would imagine, but, they're waiting for, caca jokes or whatever from Jar Jar, so I don't know. It's just not very exciting, and it's really boring when they're just hanging around the Tatooine and they need parts to get to Coruscant, and then they get to Coruscant and you see just how cool the whole Senate looks, and that's a look that they come back to. Just the layout of that room and how ginormous it is pretty cool. So I mean, but yeah, the bad stuff is that I don't really feel like the script is that compelling. And once again, back as I was mentioning briefly during the Bueno, the fact that it borrows so much beat-wise from even to the coronation, celebration at the very end. And I mean, I don't know, George, you just, you didn't get it quite as good as I wanted you to in this. And it's also very much the humor is for kids, as I mentioned. And I don't know, it's just, in a lot of ways, there's a lot of just waiting around. It's not as bloated and arduously long as Attack of the Clones, which I think is over 2.5 hours, and if I'm not mistaken, it's either the longest or compared to The Last Jedi, those two are like neck and neck. But yeah, the film definitely drags at times for sure. Pacing is a major issue, and also there is some bad CGI in this that looks massively dated, and some of these robots they fight especially, which is another thing. There's no stormtroopers in this, It's just kind of lame when they're going around decapitating all of these tall, skinny robots, talking in their voices and all that. There's not a fearsome nature to really any of the bad guys, with the exception of Sidious and Maul, and that's about the extent of it. There's nothing really scary and fearsome going on, but I must say, for the times that Darth Maul is in there, he is on par with Vader as far as being scary and being intimidating. But there's just too many lame cheese moments, and just the deliberate targeting of children specifically in this. I don't know. So there's definitely a lot of bad on display here, even if you can find the positive aspects in here too. And I do really feel at the end of the day that despite the, the overuse of CGI and the lack of puppetry, but it's still cool seeing like some of the Easter eggs, especially on Tatooine, seeing Tusken Raiders like shooting at the pod racers and seeing a brief appearance from Jabba, even if the CGI looks about on par with what we saw in that deleted scene from A New Hope. So I don't know. I'm ready to wrap this one up and jump into the Feo, into the ugly. There is Jar Jar Binks, man. The fan reaction is real. He is just as annoying in my estimation. They scaled his presence back significantly because of the fact that I don't even know how much the kids liked him, in all honesty. But yeah, he's bumblingly bad. He's not funny. And I mean, aside from that though, I really think the whole Immaculate Conception, Chosen One and midichlorian stuff that they throw in here and whatnot. And I mean, the whole Immaculate Conception, the fact that, Anakin was born of a mother that had never been with a man. We're talking Jesus status here. I thought that was just an ugly, weird thing. And another one being the first interactions with Annie and with Padme, and the fact that, yeah, they have, boy, he's so young when she first meets him, and then Annie grows up, and in Attack of the Clones, she's like, "Wow, you've grown up, Annie," and he's still got a crush on her. He calls her an angel early on in the film, and so I've always found that to be just a wee bit weird, kind of the ugly weird status, and so I don't know. I guess I can just leave it at that, but. If I was going to give a final, just, say in review, it's not Feo, it's not a 1-star, I wavered between saying this is a MALO, this is a 2-star bad film, and saying it's a BUENO film. 3 stars, good, but definitely not great. And so I'm going to say this is BUENO, my rating, so 3 Fuego fireballs, or whatever the hell you want to say. It's good. It's got more bueno than the other stuff, and so for that sheer fact, yeah, that is the final verdict that I will give for Star Wars: The Phantom Menace Episode 1. I know there's a lot of prequels out there. I wouldn't necessarily consider myself one, but this film is not downright garbage, but it's definitely not great. And it's not a classic, but it's a really important piece to the building of the Star Wars universe and certain aspects of mythology and stuff like that. So I have been Jaime En Fuego. You can find me on all social media sectors like Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, here on YouTube, obviously. As I mentioned, on the 24th of every month of this year, I am going to be doing a new Star Wars film review. Also, in the coming weeks leading up to Oscar season, this being released in January, I will be reviewing all 8 of the best pictures that have been nominated for the 2019 Academy Awards. I'm also going to be doing some more Enfuegotainment Live, like podcast discussion type stuff, talking news, talking different pertinent topics and stuff like that. So if you haven't subscribed and done the whole like ring the bell thing so you get notifications and see when I'm putting up new content, since here in the year of 19, I am renewing my pursuits here on Enfuegotainment. Please do. It is greatly appreciated. Say thank you. Where you can see me more often, though, obviously, is on The Horror Show, which you can find at youtube.com/The Horror Show channel. We do a couple episodes a day, whether on Patreon or on just the regular YouTube. We like to consider ourselves the most prolific horror channel on the interwebs, and we never boastfully say that we're the best, but we try to cover everything under the horror umbrella and be as comprehensive as possible. So yes, jump over and subscribe there if for whatever reason you're just watching this and are not familiar with the horror coverage that I do. So I guess that is the end until we return to a galaxy far, far away once again next month. So I've been Fuego, y'all have been awesome, and until we get to meet again, hasta luego, Cinemigos. I hope that it is sooner rather than later that we reconnect, and until then, may the Force be with you.